What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com Night Shift Podcast. We're talking MLB. Huge slate for Friday, June 8th. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go through it very quickly, and then we'll have more information, more content out for you tomorrow morning. You can check out our ownership projections, the rankings by Osmo himself. Ownership projections have quickly become my favorite thing for MLB, so I'm hoping we could do that for other sports. I have a feeling we will. So check those out. Check out the MLB strategy video with me and Josh tomorrow morning. Then the live stream talking baseball, of course, with Josh and Chris at 6 Eastern. Let's talk about these games ever so quickly. We will start out with San Francisco and Washington. We've got Andrew Suarez going up against Steven Strasburg. Suarez giving up a ton of hard hits to righties, 45.7% hard contact on the season. So the Washington bats I have as a neutral matchup against lefties, but Suarez should help them out here. I think they should be much better against lefties than their numbers show as a team this year. But I love me some Rendon, Turner, even Mark Reynolds, even Michael Taylor too, and then of course you could throw in Bryce Harper. Strasburg on the other side, it's a fine matchup at home against the Giants, but there's just so many great options, and he's priced down enough where I get it for Strasburg, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to him. I just prefer other pitchers on this slate, and maybe that's a mistake. Maybe Josh will talk me into some Strasburg as the day goes on, but right now I'm not really loving him for 10-8. All right, Milwaukee and Philadelphia. We've got Yuli Chacin against Vince Velasquez. Chacin has been much worse against lefties, and that's sort of been on par with his career. He's been okay in some starts this year, but I still want to target some lefties. The problem is these Philadelphia bats, they don't really have that many that you want to play. So for me, it's just Carlos Santana, and I will probably stop my Phillies exposure there. Velasquez on the other side comes up really high on my pitcher model. Lots of swinging strikes, lots of whiffs, striking out over 30% of righties, and he's probably going to get 5 to 6 of them here. He's at home, and I think he's someone that may slip through the cracks a little bit. So for 8,300 mid-tier price, I think people will go either all the way up into the top tier or go dumpster diving at the bottom, and Velasquez may get left behind. So I like him. I'm probably going to be overexposed to him. Milwaukee bats, if you're targeting against Velasquez, I think that Yelich just hits the ball so hard. 94.1 mile an hour average exit velocity against righties over the last couple of weeks for Yelich, and he's been like that for pretty much the whole season. He was on the DL but came back and just started raking once again. So Yelich is my guy for Milwaukee if I'm targeting against Velasquez, which I don't really like doing all that often, especially not this year. Baltimore and Toronto, we have got Andrew Cashner against J.A. Happ. So Toronto bats, while I'd love to target them here heavily, they just haven't been that great. I fear they're going to be over-owned because it's Cashner, because people love to stack against him. It's kind of like the James Shields thing, but I mean that worked out yesterday if you stacked against James Shields, but or against the Twins, I should say. But I just feel like they're going to be over-owned. I like Granderson, I like Smoke, and Kendrys Morales, but not in love with Toronto as a stack. Cashner has been okay from what I've seen. Happ on the other side has been super impressive to me. He just struck out 8 Tigers in 5 innings, which is really tough to do against the Tigers. We've talked about how little they've been striking out against lefties. And he's top 40 in whiffs per swing rate. His swinging strike rate is over 11. And he's going to face basically Manny Machado and then a bunch of hitters that are hitting like below average hitters. He gets in trouble with walks sometimes, but that's what makes this a good matchup. 3.8 run total for Baltimore, very undisciplined. We say it pretty much every time, but I'm pretty interested in Happ, even for 10-4 there. The Baltimore Bats, it's really just Manny Machado, and then that's it. We can move on. White Sox and Red Sox. Dylan Covey against Chris Sale. So Covey is giving up, on average, 92 miles an hour exit velocity against lefties this year. It's a righty going into Boston, and we know how tough that can be. Boston's just been one of the best teams against righties, if not the single best team against righties all season. So Covey is not going to be on my radar, even for 4,200. He's actually been okay, but that's neither here nor there. So the Boston Mets you're looking at are Moreland, Benintendi, and then JD Martinez. I wonder if this may be Mookie Betts' first time back. So the lineup I'm seeing is showing him as in, but just confirm. Obviously, we're a far away from lock on Friday, so if Betts is back in the lineup, even better. Yeah, these Red Sox are super expensive, but I think they're worth it against Covey at home here. I'm a little worried about Chris Sale in general. His velocity has dropped on his fastballs 2 straight starts, so that's a little concerning. But it looks like in general his velocity tends to jump around from start to start. He's had a couple of shaky starts in a row, but this matchup is about as good as it gets. The White Sox lead the MLB in K percentage against lefties over the last month. So Sale, he's an awesome play, especially for 11-1. I think that's a little bit of a discount for him too. So he will probably be very chalky, but I'll confirm that with our ownership projections in the morning. Cleveland and Detroit will go to. We've got Trevor Bauer against Michael Fulmer. Bauer may not be perfect, or maybe not the most efficient pitcher is a better way to say it, but man, can he strike people out. He's 11-8 here, so people are probably going to see that price and just write him off because it's Trevor Bauer, but he just has elite stuff right now, and for 11-8, that ownership is not going to be very high. He's going to get a ton of Tigers righties, and the Tigers aren't the best strikeout matchup, but I think he can overcome it like he has in tough matchups at various times this season. So 11-8 for Bauer is something that I'm going to be looking at a lot, and I'll be over the field on him, almost certain of it. I have respect for Fulmer's stuff, but I don't think this is the spot for him. For Detroit, like these Cleveland Bats, they've got a run total approaching 5. The lefties are fine, and it's mostly 1, 2, 3. I say that pretty much every time, but Alonso is fine as well. If Melky Cabrera is in the lineup, I think he would be fine. I saw that he was hitting the ball super hard on the old Baseball Savant, so I'm not seeing Cabrera listed in the lineup. Maybe I missed something on him, but it looks like he's just not listed in the lineup. If not him, Chisenhall is the other guy that would fill in. St. Louis and Cincinnati. We've got, let's go to this game. All right, St. Louis and Cincinnati. There we go. Luke Weaver versus Matt Harvey. So Weaver against the Cincinnati Bats. I don't really have any interest either way. I mean, Weaver's fine, 7,500. That's an okay price for him. I don't know. I mean, I really don't have a strong opinion either way. The Reds are sort of a neutral matchup. They can throw out a ton of lefties at times with Votto and Scooter Gennett, and Schebler's fine as well. So I don't think I'm playing Weaver here. And then Harvey has actually been okay against righties, and that's what the Cardinals have. So I was thinking just Cardinal stack at first look, but then looking a little deeper, I mean, still, the Cardinal stack is fine. Don't get me wrong, but Harvey is much worse against lefties. So that means good things for Matt Carpenter, Dexter Fowler, and then those are really the only 2 lefties that I want to play. I'm not a big Colton Wong guy, but Tommy Pham hits righties very well. Jose Martinez, hopefully starting a little bit of a hot streak, had a bit of a lull in the middle of the season there for Jose Martinez, but Cardinals, they're a fine stack. It's 83 degrees in Cincinnati for this game, it looks like, and in Great American Ballpark. So very few parks that are better hitting environments than this one. And St. Louis has a ton of power. Mets and Yankees. This one is in New York, of course, at the Mets Stadium. We've got Tanaka going up against DeGrom. Tanaka against the Mets, 9,500 here. He's much better, or I'm sorry, the Mets are much better against the righties. But Tanaka is a little bit unique because of that splitter. He should be striking out a lot more lefties than he's shown. 23.9% whiffs per swing rate. Or no, not whiffs per swing. 23.9% whiff rate on his splitter against left-handed hitters this year, which is a very good rate. I think he can be good here against these lefties if he's got his good stuff. That's always the question with Tanaka. So for the New York Mets bats, I'm either fading them or stacking them up in one lineup. So if I'm playing like 10 lineups, and I have I maybe have 3 or 4 Tanaka lineups, and then have like 2 full Mets stacks or something, because if Tanaka has his best stuff, the Mets are not going to be hitting the ball. Those lefties are going to be swinging over the top of that splitter if they're chasing it, and if he doesn't have his best stuff, he could get lit up pretty good. The problem with the stack for the Mets, and it's always tough stacking against that Yankees bullpen. So they've got that really good staff, the starting pitchers, and then you get a really good bullpen behind that, and it's just tough to do stacks against the Yankees these days. DeGrom going for the Mets. You gotta love him here. 10-6, getting a ton of whiffs against righties, and the righties are who you're worried about on the Yankees. We've seen guys mow down the Yankees before, elite pitchers like Verlander and Morton, and then even guys like Gaviglio. They just mowed down the Yankees, and DeGrom has some of the best stuff in the MLB. He's 10-6 here. Him and Sale, I would assume, get the majority of the ownership at this top tier. But he's right up there with Sale for me, maybe even ahead of him, point per dollar. A little bit of a discount there. San Diego and Miami. We have got Eric Lauer going up against Caleb Smith. Lauer, 45.5% hard contact against righties, a 33.3% line drive rate with 4.5 walks per 9 against them as well. Just atrocious against right-handed hitting. And the Marlins have some guys that surprisingly can really, really hit lefties well. And I don't think they're going to be owned really at all. 4-run total for the Marlins. It's going to be 86 degrees here. Maybe if we get that roof opened, could be a really nice hitting environment, even though the park is big. So the Miami bats are Brian Anderson, Starlin Castro, and JT Realmuto. Have a ton of interest in all these guys, and you don't really need to have a bunch of them to get over the field, I don't think. Just a sneaky, tough 2-3-4 there for the Marlins against lefties. Or sometimes Castro's hitting leadoff, you don't know. Even Rojas, I think, is fine if he's hitting leadoff. The Marlins onslaught here, actually, for me. So I like Caleb Smith. The Padres let you miss bats. They strike out as much as anyone against left-handed pitching. And Smith is just underrated, I think. 9,100 at home here. He's top 30 in whiffs per swing. Just went 7 innings against this team a couple starts ago. Didn't have the great strikeout stuff, but against the lineup with Villanueva and Renfroe and Perella and Manuel Margot at the bottom in a pitcher's spot, I think that the strikeouts will be there for Smith. So he's another mid-tier option that I'm really interested in. Seattle and Tampa Bay. We've got Marco Gonzalez versus Wilmer Font. I'm not really sure if this guy is a reliever. I'm pretty sure he is. That's Font. So I don't know who's coming in after the game for him, and they'll probably announce that tonight or tomorrow for Tampa Bay. This game's not very fun at all. Probably the least interesting game on the slate for me. Gonzalez just had a nice start against the Rays 6 days ago, but I will pass on him on this huge slate, I think that I'd rather not put my fate in Marco Gonzalez's hands for 7,100 in a matchup that I don't even really like for him. So let's move on to the next game. Houston and Texas. We have got Justin Verlander going up against Doug Fister. Verlander is, let me get his price here. All right, 12-4 against the Rangers. If we're going to get a low-owned Verlander because of Sale and DeGrom's price, and because of the weather in Texas and whatever the factors are that we get a low-owned Verlander, I think we might get one here. Then I have a ton of interest in him for GPPs. Low-owned Verlander is the best Verlander, and he's legitimately been one of the best, if not the best pitcher since coming over to the Astros last year mid-season. So there's just nothing bad to say about Verlander. There are a lot of things bad to say about this Texas lineup. They swing and miss as much as anyone, and that is Verlander's forte. So, yeah, it's a little bit scary of a matchup anytime you go into Texas. It's tough to pitch there because it's such a good hitter's park, but Verlander, this seems like a spot where you could get double-digit Ks pretty easily. Fister on the other side, I think he is just thoroughly not a good pitcher. His last two starts, a 1.2% and 3.1% swinging strike rate in those starts. I think he's getting lucky with the hits he's allowing, and he doesn't really strike anyone out, and I think the Astros are one of my favorite stacks of the night. Maybe people don't want to play him as much because it's a righty going up against a ton of righties, but Fister is, like I said, not good. I love stacking up the Astros here, especially those top four. Don't know about Correa's status, but even if he's not in the lineup, I still love Gurriel and Altuve, Bregman, Springer, Reddick in there. And then the bottom of the lineup with McCann and even Kemp, like I could see playing pretty much 1 through 9 against Fister. LA and Minnesota. This is the Angels versus the Twins. Garrett Richards, I'm not looking to really use him in this spot. I think he's fine, but there are just a bunch of other better options than him. 7,700. I wonder if he becomes a trendy sleeper, or not sleeper, like mid-tier pick for people in tournaments just because he's relatively cheap and the Twins aren't that great of a team. But I can't do it with Richards here. I think the Twins are better than what they look like against righties, especially. So Kepler and Rosario are two guys I'll target against Garrett Richards. Lance Lynn on the other side for the Twins. He's been incredibly lucky lately, giving up a lot of hard hits, walking guys, but doesn't really have a blow-up start to show for it in a while. So against a patient team like the Angels, yeah, it's a lot of righties, and Lynn is historically better against right-handed hitting, but yeah, he's striking them out more, but the Angels don't really strike out. So they're going to put the ball in play against him, and I actually like targeting against him here with maybe an Angels stack. The problem with the Angels stack is I can really only get to 4 guys I like, unless Ohtani's in the lineup. If Ohtani's in the lineup, then I can get to a full 5-man stack, but I love Valbuena, I love Trout, and then Upton and Kinsler would be the other 2 to get to that 4-man, and then if Ohtani's in, then I can get to a 5-man stack, but looking like he is questionable for this game, so make sure he is in the lineup. Arizona and Colorado, Coors Field. We got Zach Greinke going up against German Marquez. Greinke making his first start in Coors this year. He's much better at home. Just sort of look at the game logs, and this is the worst park for pitching. If the Rockies are going to be under-owned here in Coors because they're going up against a big name, then I'll take advantage and stack them up. Greinke's giving up a lot of hard contact to both sides. He can strike a ton of guys out at times still, but this is a spot where I think he could get lit up, and I think we might see lower ownership for Colorado bats. It really starts with Blackmon and Arenado and Cargo, but I don't mind LeMahieu. I don't mind Gerardo Parra either. So I want to see the ownership. I'm excited to see ownership on these big slates like this, see where the chalk's going, and see if we can get a little bit different. Marquez going for the Rockies, not someone I'm really ever worried about targeting against in Coors. I mean, he gives it up to both righties and lefties, can get pretty wild at times. I know I hate Arizona against righties, but over the last couple of weeks, they've kind of turned it around against right-handed pitching, sort of as Goldschmidt has turned it around himself. So I'm all over the D-backs here. I wonder if Coors will be relatively low owned. I really do. But, I mean, Descalso, Lamb, Goldschmidt was mentioned already. Peralta, 50% hard hit rate against righties this year. This is a team that is really easy for me to stack up. So I really love me some Coors Field tonight. And I'm hoping that's sort of a take that a lot of people don't have. But it is Coors Field. We always see increased ownership, so maybe it's just wishful thinking that Coors will be under-owned. Kansas City and Oakland. Jake Junis going up against Frankie Montas. I don't really have interest in Montas at all. I talked about him. We thought he was going to be pitching on Thursday, and he didn't. They went with Paul Blackburn. But the Kansas City one bat that I like is Mike Moustakas. That's not a hot take at all. Junis, so let's get to Junis right here. He's 8,100. I don't mind him here against the A's. Back-to-back starts with a 14% swinging strike rate. He just threw a really nice start against Oakland, and I know I don't love going to pitchers when they're facing a team back-to-back a few days apart, but I don't know. I don't think it's the worst idea to play some Junis here against Oakland, who does strike out a fair amount. He's 8,100, so if he was 7K here, I think he would be so easy to pair with DeGrom or Sale, but 8,100, you're not even getting that big of a discount on Junis. So Oakland bats, there's really only one that I love here, and it is Matt Olson, just crushing everything, hitting the ball as well as anyone, righties, lefties. It doesn't really matter for Olson right now. He's just on fire. Atlanta and LA, last game of the night. This is the Dodgers, of course. Brandon McCarthy against Alex Wood, or is it Walker Buehler? Oh, wow. I'm getting some different pitchers on different sites. So let's see here. What does DraftKings have? DraftKings has Buehler in there, 9,300 for Buehler. So that will need to have a deeper dive. The Dodgers and the Braves bats, or I'm sorry, Buehler versus the Dodgers bats. I said that wrong again, but you know what I'm saying. So we'll talk about McCarthy. He's not really someone I ever dive into much, but he's had like weird starts sprinkled in there where he looks good. And I mean, I'm not playing him against the Dodgers, who they've kind of started to wake up recently in that Pittsburgh series. Over the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching, the Dodgers have a 113 WRC plus, and that hasn't even factored in the game from Thursday with the Pirates. They got to tie on a little bit. So Muncy and Bellinger and Jock Peterson, I think, are interesting guys, sort of as one-offs. I don't want to really stack up the Dodgers in this park, but those three guys are all decent home run candidates. I don't even see Muncy in this lineup. I wonder if I missed something on him now too. This game is really making me question my DFS research. All right, I don't see anything alarming on Muncy. Maybe he's just getting a day off or something. But that will do it for the slate. We'll talk more about Walker Buehler and the rest of the slate tomorrow morning. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it got you started with most of your research for June 8th. Get to osmo.com. Check out all of our stuff. We'll have content flowing out throughout the day for this enormous slate. Good luck, guys.